Thomas Midgley Jr. may be the most dangerous man who ever lived. Most people have never even heard his name. In 1921, a chemist named Thomas Midgley Jr. made a discovery. Add one chemical to gasoline and car engines ran smoother, quieter, cleaner. The product was revolutionary, the chemical was lead. Here's the thing about lead. It's one of the most dangerous neurotoxins on the planet. Midgley knew this. The science wasn't hidden, it wasn't unclear. He knew exactly what he was working with, and he did it anyway. Workers at his production plants started getting sick almost immediately. Not just headaches, not just fatigue, they were hallucinating violently, uncontrollably. The press started showing up. They had a name for it. They called it loony gas. Midgley himself got lead poisoning so severe he had to take months off just to recover. But the industry had too much money on the line to slow down. So Midgley did what any good company man would do. He called a press conference. He stood in front of the cameras, picked up a container of leaded gasoline, and poured it all over his hands. Held them up, smiled, told the room it was perfectly safe. What he didn't mention was that his doctors had already warned him his body couldn't take much more exposure. He was poisoning himself live on camera to protect a product he knew was killing people. But the industry had a simple fix. Just don't call it lead. They named it ethyl. Sleek, safe, sophisticated, nobody had to know. For the next 50 years, leaded gasoline became the global standard. Billions of pounds of lead poured out of tailpipes, not as smoke you could see, but as invisible dust you couldn't. It settled into the soil, the playgrounds, the air that children breathed every single day. And once lead gets inside the body, it knows exactly where it's going. It heads straight for the brain. Lead mimics calcium, which lets it sneak past the body's defenses. And once it's there, it attacks the prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for thinking before you act, for controlling your emotions, for knowing when to stop. The damage is permanent, there is no cure. Then the 1960s and 70s arrived, and something deeply unsettling happened. Violent crime didn't just rise, it exploded, across the entire world all at once. Experts pointed at television, at broken families, at moral decay, but a group of researchers noticed something that stopped them cold. In every country they studied, violent crime surged exactly 20 years after leaded gas consumption peaked. Not 15 years, not 30, 20, every time. The children who had been breathing lead-laced air as toddlers were now adults, and something had gone wrong with an entire generation, and nobody could explain it. You think that would be enough for one man's legacy? But Thomas Midgley wasn't done. General Motors came to him with a new problem. Refrigerators at the time used chemicals that were genuinely dangerous, toxic, flammable, prone to leaking inside people's homes. They needed something safer, something stable, something that wouldn't hurt anyone. They asked Midgley to figure it out. He did, in just 3 days. He called it Freon. It was the world's first chlorofluorocarbon, a CFC. It didn't smell, it didn't burn, it seemed completely inert. To the world in 1928, it looked like a miracle. And Midgley, being Midgley, knew exactly how to sell it. He stood up in front of a room full of scientists, took a deep breath, and inhaled a full lungful of Freon gas. Then he turned to a candle on the table and blew it out. The room was amazed. Safe enough to breathe, non-flammable, problem solved. The applause was immediate. CFCs flooded the market. Refrigerators, air conditioners, aerosol sprays, inhalers. For decades they were everywhere and celebrated for it. Nobody had any reason to question them. Until 1974, two chemists, Mario Molina and Frank Rowland, published a paper that sent shockwaves through the scientific community. CFCs, they argued, were drifting up into the stratosphere, and once there, they were doing something catastrophic. They were destroying the ozone layer, the thin band of atmosphere that shields every living thing on Earth from the sun's ultraviolet radiation. Midgley's miracle chemical wasn't inert at all. It was just slow, patient, waiting until it reached the upper atmosphere to do its damage. By the 1980s, scientists confirmed what Molina and Rowland had feared. There was a hole in the ozone layer above Antarctica, and it was growing. Skin cancer rates were rising, ecosystems were being disrupted, the entire planet was paying the price for one man's invention. Environmental historians started doing the math on Thomas Midgley Jr.'s career. Leaded gasoline, CFCs, two products, two global catastrophes. One man. They landed on a description that has stuck ever since. They called him a one-man environmental disaster, a single human being who had done more damage to the Earth's atmosphere than any other organism in history. And here's the ironic end. In 1940, at the age of 51, Thomas Midgley contracted polio. The disease left him severely disabled, bedridden, dependent on others just to get through the day. For a man who had spent his entire life inventing solutions, it was its own kind of torture. So he did what he had always done. He invented his way out. From his bed, he designed and built an elaborate system of ropes and pulleys and mechanical harness that could lift him upright, rotate him, and help him get out of bed without needing anyone's help. His friends call it ingenious, classic Midgley. Even flat on his back, he was still the man with the answer. On the morning of November 2nd, 1944, the ropes tangled. The system he had built to give him independence wrapped around his neck. Thomas Midgley Jr., the man who poisoned the air, cracked the sky, and survived lead poisoning and polio, was strangled to death by his own invention. He was 55 years old. There was no tidy moral to a story like this. Midgley wasn't a cartoon villain. By most accounts, he was charming, brilliant, and genuinely believed he was solving real problems. But the road he paved, with confidence, was press conferences with a smile and gasoline-soaked hands, led somewhere no one should have followed. Leaded gasoline poisoned a generation, CFCs tore open the sky, and the man responsible died tangled in a rope he built himself. If history has a sense of irony, Thomas Midgley Jr. is the proof.